They don't teach about the Lord, they teach about a higher power.
Her cancer's come back. She got 2 tumors in her.
Oh, mercy. All right, all right.
Who is that?
Mary Ann Kennedy's daughter.
Yeah,
She's had it about
she
3
goes to
or 4
Brother
times.
Gene, goes to Brother Gene's church. Mary
Ann
Kennedy,
Kennedy.
yes.
And Laura May.
Yes, he was happy as long as she was an alcoholics and drug addicts and, you know, we know that we know we serve a healer this morning. You know, we serve a deliverer this morning that's more than able to save. Hallelujah. You know, and we're just believing and trusting that God is going to move in her behalf. Amen. Great testimony need this morning. Let's continue to pray for our church. You know, that God will just move and continue to bring people in. We've had several that's come in and then, you know, they go out, but then that's what Brother Kevin prophesied, you know, when he told us that. But praise God. Let's just pray the Lord will continue to bring them in. Just continue prayer. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. Most great Heavenly Father, we come before you this day, God. Lord, we thank you.
Lord, no.
No, sir. Yeah, she.
Yeah.
May you find Jesus here. Happy birthday to you. Oh, happy birthday to you. The best one you ever.
Morning, all right? Give God glory. And to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I pledge allegiance to the Christian flag and to the Savior whose kingdom it stands. One Savior, crucified, risen, and coming again with life. Hallelujah. All right, you ready? And it should come to pass that thou shalt hearken diligently to the voices of the earth, and all these blessings shall come on thee and overtake thee, if thou shalt hearken to the voice. Increase kind of flocks of thy sheep. Blessed shall be thy basket and thy store. Blessed shalt thou be when thou comest in, and blessed shalt thou be when thou goest out. The Lord shall cause thine enemies that rise up against thee, the blessing upon thee and thy storehouses, and all that are sinners that hand to thy God and walk in his grace. And all people learn to receive power and call for the name of the Lord, and they shall be afraid.
Page 52. Jesus, hold my hand. As I travel, please be safely through the sea. It is the promise of this would be my prayer. Lord, you straight and help me do the best I can. For I need the light to guide me day. I need every day. Me by thy my people feel. Oh, look down on me. When I feel let me travel in the light that I may be that and sing redemption songs someday. I will be a soldier brave and true and ever virgin. Take us stand as I onward Jesus hold my hand. Jesus hold my hand. life had won. I have put my faith in thee, and I may reach the golden Jesus, when I kneel in prayer, I hold there, blessed Jesus, oh my. I think that is that the key? As I journey through the land, singing as I go, wanting to Calvary, in the Christmas Lord, make me whole to the house of peace. Oh, I want to be there, the Holy Spirit, I know. There's no plan on the line, there's beauty grows. Waiting service for my Lord, you're making the line. But I'll keep on looking, He will give me life. On a hill far away, stood an old rugged cross, me in the lost for a world so I'll cherish the old till I agree to be so I cherish the old rugged road till my joy is at last my way till my joy to my home far away, where is glory. So I'll cherish the old rugged road. I want it and exchange something for us.
so that you and I could experience and have what we have today. And I'm glad that He's real in our lives. He's real. Praise God. He's real. He's real. Amen. And I'm so glad for the cross. Praise God. He's alive and well. At least he's not even raised today. All those other ones that claim to be, have so much to do. But our Savior, the Word says, sits at the right hand of the Father today, making intercession for us. I'm not moved, sit down at the table to eat, and she was not there. Not realizing there was, and then she would go into the other room, and we thought she was praying, and when she probably was. That's what she was doing, I know that. But she would go in the other room, and we would eat. And Serena was talking this morning on the way up here. She said, I woke up, and she said, I began to think about the old days, the days that when my children were young, and the things that we did for them and the things that we did to provide for them. And that's such a great thought, especially when you're blessed with a mama that loves the Lord more than she loves anything else. And believe me, my mother did. She loved the Lord more than she loved anything else.
Amen.
And God, He loved her. And she's gone on to be with glory. And I can imagine, I can see her now doing the airplane like that, and I can see her now and all. But I thought this is a day, and this has been a week for me that I have gone down memory lane. And if you notice, I posted a picture on Facebook with when we were just little bitty fellas. We were little children, and all. And she would go kind of put her out. And they didn't want nothing to do with her. They didn't want to provide for her and all like that. And she trusted God, and she believed God, and she depended upon Him. But we celebrate Mother's Day today because it is a day set aside. These children, with their sons, worshiping Him and desiring that these, my two sons, may sit. They say to her, we are able. And He saith unto them, ye shall drink. Them know that they was going to have to go through the hard times. And He said, and be baptized with the baptism that I'm baptized with, but to sit on my right hand and on my left is not mine to give, but it shall be given to them for whom it is prepared of my Father.
Amen.
Lord, we thank You this morning for Your word, God. Lord, I pray now that You open our ears to hear and our heart to receive, Lord, the word that You have given me to give to Your mothers this morning. Those that You have created to be mothers, God. Lord, and I praise You this morning, Lord, anoint and bless in Christ we pray. Amen and amen. What are mothers? Mothers are teachers. Mothers are disciplinarians. If you'd have been around mine, you'd have known that for certain. Mothers are cleaning ladies. How many messes have you cleaned? Making cookies is more important than washing windows. Shapers of attitudes. Mothers are soft voices saying, I love you. Mothers are all these things and much, much more. But this week I read an article, and I don't guess I'd ever read it before, by a lady by the name of Irma Bombeck. And Irma says it this way. Long over time. Have you read the specs on this model? She is supposed to be completely washable, but not plastic. She is to have 180 moving parts, all of them replaceable. She is to have a kiss that will heal everything from a broken leg to a broken heart. She is to have a lap that will hold 3 kids and then disappear whenever she stands up. She is to be able to function on black coffee and leftovers. And she is supposed to have 6 pairs of hands 6 pair of hands, said the angel. That's impossible. And the Lord said this. It's not the 6 pair of hands that bothers me, said the Lord. It's the 3 pair of eyes. She's supposed to have 1 pair that sees through closed doors, so that whenever she said, "What are you kids doing in there?" she already knows what they're doing in there. She has another pair in the back of her head to see all the things she's not supposed to see, but she knows about.
Right.
And then she has 1 pair right in front that can look at a child that just goofed up and communicate love and understanding without saying a word.
Right.
And you know that we had mothers, and my mother was one of those that she showed much love to us as children. And she could communicate strictness. I remember in church many times. She would grab Mike and pinch him hard. She got me one time by the ear. I was on the back seat with Sparkin at the time. Now I wasn't paying attention to the preacher. She stood up and motioned for me to come, and I didn't come. I just come, She got up and she got me by the ear and laid me up down. That's the kind of strictness that I lived under. As a young man, we wasn't allowed to do certain things, but I would try to sneak around and do that. But she always knew.
Yes.
I don't care how sneaky I may have been, she always knew what I was doing. And you've heard me tell the story many times that God blessed us, but we had no way of going anywhere. We had to walk everywhere we went. And she prayed, and God blessed us. Her brother gave her a car. And then we had that for a while, and God blessed her with a better one. And I had gotten to that age then when I drove, I could drive. And Nancy and I went to a drive-in movie. We pulled in and we went to leave, and the car wouldn't start. I said, "Nancy, what are we going to do?" And Nancy said, I don't know. So anyway, the time went on, and finally I broke down and said, "I got to call Mom." And I called her and told her, and she said, "Where are you at?" And I knew I couldn't lie because she always knew. What? Where? Huh? But then he let me have it. Because see, when we were growing up, old Pentecost, you didn't go to the movies. No, you didn't have no part of the movies when we were growing up as in the old Pentecostal movement. We went back, and finally some fella helped us get started. And as soon as we left, as soon as we got out, it run perfect, like it did when we got there. But let me tell you what, I heard about it, I knew about it. She worked on me, and I can tell you about all of that. But anyway, but she knew, and she knew how to discipline. But then she knew how to love. And poor Joe got more love than we did. No, I mean, he got it in a different way than we did. Yeah, he required more. Thank you, Nancy. Yeah, he required more than we did.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, it says, "That's too much," said the angel. "You can't put all that much into one model. Why don't you rest for a while and resume your creating tomorrow?" The Lord said, "No, I can't. I'm close to creating someone very much like myself. I've already come up with a model who can heal herself when she is sick, who can feed a family of 6 with 1 pound of hamburger, and who can persuade a 9-year-old to take a shower." Then the angel looked at the model of motherhood a little more closely and said, she's too soft. Oh, but she is tough, said the Lord. You'd be surprised at how much this mother can do. Can she think? Asked the Lord, asked the angels. Not only can she think, said the Lord, but she can reason and compromise and persuade. Then the angel reached over and touched her cheek. This one has a defect, said the angel. It has a leak. The Lord said, no, I told you that, no, the angel said, I told you that you couldn't put that much into one model. That's not a leak, said the Lord. That's a tear. What's a tear for? Asked the angel. The tear is her way of expressing her joy, her sorrow, her disappointment, her pain, her loneliness, her grief, and her pride.
Mm-hmm.
You're a genius, said the angel. And the Lord said, oh, but I didn't put it there. I created the woman, but she created the tear.
Mm-hmm.
So we know that this morning that a mother is a model of God's love. And maybe with all this in mind that we can better understand, they look down and I'd say, look me in the eyes. And they couldn't stand it. And then I would tell them what I needed to tell them. But you know what today? I don't know about Josh, but I know about Alvin. They've never been in trouble. I've never had to get them out of jail. Not that maybe they hadn't been there. I just didn't know about it. But you know what? I've seen God slay them in the floor and them speak with other tongue. Man, I mean, for a long period of time, lay there and bask in the presence of God. That is a mother and dad's most thankful thing, to see your child praising God. All we can do is train them in the right. That's all we as parents can do. We can train them in the ways of God. But they make their own decisions. But sometimes mothers pray just out of the frustration of it all. And sometimes in the frustration of trying to teach our children, we realize the difficulties of communication. There seems to be a communication gap somewhere in there. We can't get through to them. But I wrote this down. It said this, that this man remembered very clearly the time that he gave his 2-year-old son, Steve, his very first responsibility. Now he's 2 years old. He told Steve to watch Susan, his baby sister, while he stepped out of the room. He had only been gone a few moments when he heard a thump. And then Susan started crying. He rushed back in to find that Susan had fallen from the couch and was stretched out on the floor. Meanwhile, Steve sat there looking so innocent. This man, the man said, Steve, I told you to watch her. Steve answered, I did. He watched her fall and he watched her cry. He did exactly what he was told to do. So being a parent's not easy. Sometimes it's filled with joy and sometimes it's filled with sadness. Sometimes your children make you so proud you want to pop your buttons. And other times you can't find enough handkerchiefs to dry your eyes. What good is it if our children what good is it if our children are successful on the job or with a career or in making money and driving nice cars and living in good neighborhoods, but they don't know Jesus? What does it matter if they gain the whole world but lose their own souls?
Yeah.
Being a parent is not easy, it's difficult, but we find that Mrs. Zebedee here gives us a valuable example because she prayed earnestly that her sons will be a part of God's kingdom. We need that same concern for our children. I hope that in the heart of every mother here today, there's a burden to go to the throne of God and pray for your children.
Yeah.
That God would use them and watch over them and protect them. But let me tell you what, we live in a terrible, terrible, terrible world. To pray that they will be saved from eternal damnation and saved for eternal life. That is the place to begin in the home. Secondly, not only did Miss Zebedee pray that her children could be part of his kingdom, but she prayed that they would be actively involved in the work of his kingdom. Maybe it's not enough just to be saved. We know today that churches are full of people that they're content just to fill the pew on Sunday morning. And that's all they desire. There's plenty of people willing to sit back and receive the blessings, but seldom do they get involved in doing any of the real work of the church. But where does the spirit of service begin? It begins at home with mothers as well as with dads. Setting an example and praying that their sons and daughters might be involved in the work of God, in the kingdom of God, as teachers and leaders, disciplining others, that they might be the ones to go out into the world to find the lost, to see that the church continues on until Jesus comes again. He's coming again very, very soon, whether you realize it or not. He's coming so very soon. If you don't believe me, all you do is look around you and see. Mrs. Zebedee prayed that her children would be actively involved in the work of his kingdom. And we as parents need to do that also. Thirdly, Mrs. Zebedee had a big expectation, and I like that. She didn't just pray that the children would be doorkeepers in the house of God. She wanted them on the right hand and on the left hand of Jesus. She wanted them close to Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
She didn't desire them to do something else. She wanted them close to Jesus. And how much closer you could be one of the right. That was her concern. When you're working in a kingdom, there is no higher position than those on the right and those on the left. And we know that we've read about kings, and we've seen pictures, and we've studied about kings and all, you know, and that's what she wanted her two sons to sit on each side of the king. But we may consider this lady brash and presumptuous. But you know what? I admire her boldness. That she was willing to approach Jesus and say, Lord, can one of them sit on one side and one on the other?
Mm-hmm.
Because I want them close to you.
Right.
I want them to be where you're at. Too often we've settled for mediocrity in the church. For too long we have been content with just barely making it through the door. For too long we have been content to sit back and let things happen. It's time for some of us to take our positions on the right and the left hand to become leaders in the house of God, molding and fashioning the outreach of the church, mobilizing to make sure the message of Christ goes into all the world. That's what he said. Go into all the world, preaching the gospel. You know, it's time to strive for excellence, to reach for the very best there is. The Lord calls us to be what? His disciples, and be effective laborers in his kingdom. And you remember, we just read here a while ago where Mom Beck made a statement when she was talking about the Lord and the angel, about creating a mother. He said this, the Lord is, I'm close to creating someone very much like myself.
Amen.
That you have the heart of Jesus.
Amen.
That you have the heart of the Lord.
That's right.
That you desire the best for your children. You desire them most of all that they be in the house of God.
That's right.
You desire most of all that they serve the Lord. That when they get to the point where they get out on their own, they know where to go when they get in trouble. They know where to go. Even now, when my boys, when they need something, they ask for prayer because they know prayer changes things. Prayer works. So I suppose that's why today is very special, because we recognize what a mother's love is. Probably the closest example we have to God's love. It is a love that goes through the valley of the shadow of death to bring life into being. It is a love that sacrifices itself over and over again and would even dare to lay down its life for its own offspring. Would you not be able to lay down your life for your child if it would save the life of your child? Yes, you would. Because you love your child. You have that God love. If your child needs a kidney, yeah, you'd be the first one to give it. Whatever your child needs, you would be the first one. And that's the love of God inside of you. I found another illustration, and this is my last illustration this morning, but I read a story, and it's a true story. Man, it's so fabulous. During World War II, remembering the Holocaust that took the lives of millions of people, there was a man by the name of Solomon Rosenberg. And his family, there was him, his wife, his two sons, and his mother Debbie, and they were arrested. And they were taken into the labor camp. And the rules were simple. As long as you produce what you're supposed to produce, then you're allowed to live. As long as you can give them what they require, as long as you can work and do what you're supposed to do, then you can live and not be exterminated. Right. And the story goes on to say that Rosenberg watched his mother and father marched off to their death because they got to the point where they could not perform anymore. They got so old. And he knew that next would be his youngest son, David, because you see, David had been a frail child all of his life. Every evening, Rosenberg came back into the barracks after his hours of labor and search for the faces of his family. When he found them, they would huddle together, embrace one another, and thank God for another day of life. But one day, Solomon Rosenberg came back and he didn't see those familiar faces. He finally discovered his oldest son, Joshua, in a corner, huddled, weeping and praying. Solomon said, "Oh, Josh, tell me it's not true." Joshua turned and said, "It's true, Papa. Today, David was not strong enough to do his work, so they came for him and took him." But Solomon said, "Where's your mother?" "Oh, Papa," he said, "when they came for David, he was afraid and he cried. And Mama said, 'There's nothing to be afraid of, David.' And she took his hand and she went with him." That is motherhood. Mothers, this is your day. And may God bless each and every one of you. And I pray that if there is anybody that needs something from the Lord, that he's here this morning to move. Let's stand this morning. God, praise God. Just take each other's hand, would you please? We're going to pray for our mothers this morning. Praise God. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Most gracious Heavenly Father, I come before you this morning. I have given to these mothers that what you gave to me, Lord God. That what you allowed me to receive. Lord God, and I've ministered to them. Lord, that what you have. And I pray now, God, Lord, that you will bring our children in. God, that our children will be brought in, God. Lord, that you will not allow the enemy to destroy them. that you would not allow the enemy to take them out. But God, before they leave this world, but God, that they'll find you. Lord, and help us be witnesses for you. Help us to live the life that we should live, God. Lord, I pray for each and every mother this morning, God, that you will bless them, God. Thank you, Lord. In Christ's name we pray. Amen. Amen. Praise God. Hallelujah. I've got something for all of the mothers. It's kind of similar to what I got last year, but I don't know what else to do. I just read us the word. I really did. I thought about you. I thought about you.
You got me spoiled, I believe.
She's not a mother, but I'll give her. I'll give her. If Perry Chick Phillips will be a mother. Yeah. Okay. Here, one day you will be a mother. If you behave yourself, if you straighten up, if you behave yourself, you might. Yeah, because we got these young ladies and they get ready to get married, huh? Oh, okay. Yeah, but she's still very fresh. She was lost in last year.
Doesn't ever get much better. I can
Oh,
attest to
you
that.
know.
Don't get any better. We
You
just
gotta live with it. Yes, I've never experienced it, and I pray I don't never have to, but you know, I'm sure they don't get any better. Teresa knows, Rita knows, and the nation knows what it is to lose a child. You know, I can't sympathize with it, I don't know. You know, one of the nation is. Yeah, that was her only child, yes, yeah. And just as he got back going again.
That's why everyone has such a hard time with Mother's Day and things like that.
Yes,
It's just, you know, she's
and I'm
still,
sure,
her heart is still just so broken
Oh, yeah.
because she lost mom. I mean, they're both of them are just so broken.
and I'm sure maybe Mark probably went with him to Carolina, that's probably.
I got a
I
feeling
would
that
say
maybe
they all
White
got
Father
together.
did, yeah.
That's her baby boy, that's the one she got left. It's every holiday that she's only got one. It's every holiday. Oh,
It
yeah,
is.
I think this has been the first time that I've been to Mother's Day since I lost my son.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't have been here about and hadn't called. I mean, I like it ever and call my
So the Lord knows what you need, you know.
Yeah, he
You
does.
need people that love you, you know.
Yes.
People that have experienced what you experienced, you know. But we're gonna be dismissed. Amen. Let's remember our service of Wednesday night. We continue to, well, no, Wednesday night is already out.
Fellowship.
Yeah. What we have?
We're having members talk about.
On
On
the
the
grill.
grill?
Right, yeah. Let's do that. We're gonna borrow Mike's grill. You cooking? Huh? You cooking? Yeah, if I have to, with you. Big deal. I mean, James, he's good at that stuff. James. I said, I get James cook good. He used to cook. Oh, Lord, I mean, a lot of James was cooking, but James good on that grill, buddy. But anyway.
You know, I have a couple of pounds of wieners in my freezer. I think they're all for Myers.
Yeah.
You don't like them though, do you? You like Oh, yeah, I'll read it.
Nancy likes it Hebrew Nancy.
I got some.
All right, so anyway, praise God. Happy Mother's Day to everybody. Amen. Amen. You're dismissed. God loves you. And, you know,
And I thought we
you
could
know
have
what?
ice cream cones too. I'll bring some cones to go with the ice cream.
Yeah, but there's still a lot of ice cream out there.
Wow.
Yeah, I remember last time we had some big thing of ice cream.
Yeah.
Yeah. What? Oh, yes, yes. God favors me today. God honors me today. I'm a success today. I have God's special favor on me today. He makes His face shine upon me today. I am someone very special with the Lord. I am blessed and highly favored, coming in and going out. I have favor with my spouse. I have favor with my boss and all that come in contact with. My finances are blessed because I get to the Lord. I'm a child of the Lord. Amen. Yo, Sister Rita.